me ask you something. Have you ever noticed this strange contradiction? You can do everything right. You're loyal, you're consistent, you show up when you say you will, you listen, you support her, you don't disappear when things get difficult. And yet, deep down, something feels off. It's like you're close, but never fully chosen. Like you're standing at the door, but the lock never clicks open. You feel it in the pauses, in the delays, in the way conversations about the future somehow drift away before they land anywhere solid. And the most confusing part, she does care about you. She does enjoy your presence. She might even say she loves you. So what's missing? Here's the uncomfortable truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't commit to comfort. They commit to conviction. Love is common. Commitment is rare. Every man gets affection at some point. Only a few men get selected for permanence. And in this video, I want to show you 10 things women only do for the man they truly want to marry. Not the man they enjoy, not the man who's good enough for now, but the man they believe in long term. Because once you understand these patterns, you stop guessing, you stop analyzing texts, you stop asking, where do I stand? You can tell the difference between being the one and being the placeholder. So let's start at the first layer. The one most men misunderstand completely. Number 1, she brings you into her inner circle. Integration, not introduction. There's a massive difference between being introduced and being integrated. An introduction is casual, and integration is intentional. When a woman truly sees you as a future partner, she doesn't just let you meet the important people in her life. She slowly weaves you into the fabric of it. Family, close friends, the people whose opinions actually influence her decisions. Psychologically, this matters more than most men realize. A woman's inner circle represents her long-term reality. It's where future planning happens subconsciously. It's where alignment is tested without words. She doesn't open that door lightly. If she brings you around her parents, it's not about showing you off. It's about observing fit. If she lets you spend time with the people who know her flaws, her history, her patterns, she's asking a silent question. Does this man belong here long term? And here's the part most men miss. If months go by and you still haven't crossed that threshold, that's not hesitation, that's information. Because women don't indefinitely delay something they believe in. Let me be clear. If her family doesn't know your name after a long time, it's not a timing issue. It's a decision. That doesn't mean she dislikes you. It means she hasn't placed you in her future. Comfort can stay outside the gate. Conviction gets invited inside. And once you see that distinction, you can't unsee it. Now let's move to the second layer, one that exposes intention even faster. 2, she respects your time. She protects your focus, not competes with it. A woman who sees you as her future does something very subtle. She doesn't fight for your attention. She protects your focus. This is where a lot of men get confused. They think pressure equals passion. They think urgency equals desire. They think constant demands are proof of interest. But that's not how long-term attraction works. When a woman believes in your direction, your mission, your trajectory, she doesn't try to interrupt it. She understands that what you're building is part of what makes you valuable. So instead of, why didn't you reply? Why are you always busy? Why don't you make more time for me? You'll notice something very different. Space without drama. Silence without punishment. Support without guilt. She knows that your focus today is what creates security tomorrow. And here's the twist most men never hear. A woman who pressures your time wants attention, not your future. Because someone who sees herself in your future doesn't sabotage the process that creates it. She doesn't need constant reassurance. She doesn't create chaos to feel relevant. She trusts the direction. And trust is one of the strongest predictors of commitment. Which brings us to the next layer, the one that separates attraction from belief. 3, she invests in your growth. She's betting on your evolution. There's a moment when attraction crosses a threshold. It stops being about who you are today and starts being about who you're becoming. When a woman truly wants to marry you, she doesn't just enjoy your current version. She invests emotionally in your future self. You'll see it in small, almost invisible ways. She sends you a book and says, "This made me think of you." She shares a podcast that aligns with your goals. She encourages you when you're pushing through resistance. But notice this carefully. She doesn't control, she doesn't micromanage, she doesn't drag you forward. She challenges without emasculating. She supports without parenting. Why? Because women don't marry comfort. They marry direction. They don't attach to static men. They attach to trajectories. And this is where a lot of men fail without realizing it. They confuse being accepted with being chosen. A woman can accept you exactly as you are and still not believe in where you're going. But when she invests in your growth, she's making a quiet internal bet. This man is moving somewhere, and I want to build with that. That belief changes everything. It changes how she tolerates difficulty, how she navigates conflict, how patient she becomes, because she's not attached to the moment, she's attached to the direction. And we're just getting started. In the next part, we'll move into the deeper layers, the ones that reveal commitment without a single direct conversation. Memory, loyalty, financial thinking, lifestyle alignment. These are the signs that don't lie, even when words do. So before we continue, let me ask you, which of these already hit a little too close to home? Comment below, I read them. And if this helped you see the difference between comfort and commitment, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Up to this point, everything we've talked about lives on the surface of behavior, integration, respect for time, investment in growth. These are the early filters. But now we move into deeper territory, the signals a woman gives without realizing she's giving them. Because here's the truth, words can be rehearsed. Emotions can fluctuate, but subconscious behavior never lies. This is where men either wake up or stay confused for years. Let's continue. She remembers the details. Selective memory reveals selective commitment. Have you ever noticed how some people remember everything about you, while others only remember what benefits them? That's not an accident. The human brain prioritizes information based on future relevance. When a woman sees you as temporary, her mind filters you as background noise. She listens, but she doesn't store. But when she sees you as part of her long-term life, something shifts internally. She remembers the small things. Not because she's trying, not because she wrote it down, but because her brain has already categorized you as important. She remembers how you take your coffee. She remembers the story you told once late at night when you let your guard down. She remembers what frustrates you and what motivates you. And here's the key distinction. This memory isn't performative. It's not exaggerated, it's not forced. It shows up naturally, casually, almost effortlessly. She might reference something you forgot you even shared, and in that moment, you realize something uncomfortable. She's not just listening to you. She's archiving you into her life. That's not romance. That's future-oriented cognition. Because women don't memorize men they don't plan to keep. Now let's move to a sign that scares a lot of men, but shouldn't. 5, she thinks financially with you. From spending to structuring. This is where many men get defensive and miss the signal entirely. When a woman truly wants to marry you, her thinking shifts from consumption to construction. She doesn't fixate on how much you make. She starts paying attention to how you think. She doesn't ask, how much do you earn? She asks questions that reveal direction. What are you working toward? How do you think about saving? What kind of life do you want to build? Why? Because marriage isn't a feeling, it's a system, and systems require structure. You'll notice a language change. Less impulse, more planning. Less let's spend, more let's think. She starts seeing money not as entertainment, but as infrastructure. Not mine versus yours, but ours versus chaos. And here's a critical reframe. A woman who thinks financially with you isn't trying to control you. She's trying to evaluate partnership viability. She's not acting like a consumer. She's thinking like a builder. And builders don't invest in structures they don't believe will last. Which leads directly to the next layer, one that exposes loyalty in its purest form. She's loyal in public and in private. Real loyalty is invisible. Anyone can act loyal when you're watching. Real loyalty shows up when you're not in the room. When a woman truly wants a future with you, she understands something instinctively. Your reputation is tied to hers, so she protects it. She doesn't vent about you to people who will never support the relationship. She doesn't mock you in front of her friends to score social points. She doesn't expose your weaknesses to win arguments. If someone disrespects you, she corrects it. If someone misunderstands you, she clarifies it, quietly, firmly, without drama. And here's the part most men never hear. If her friends respect you, it's because she taught them to. Women shape perception inside their social circles. So when you notice that people treat you with respect even when you're not present, that's not coincidence. That's advocacy. That's a woman thinking long-term. Because no woman undermines the man she plans to stand beside. Now let's talk about something even more telling, lifestyle adjustment. She adjusts her lifestyle for you. Two lives bending toward one direction. This is not about sacrifice, it's about alignment. A woman who truly wants to marry you doesn't erase herself. She doesn't abandon her identity. But she does something very important. She shifts, small adjustments, subtle recalibrations. She reorganizes her schedule. She reprioritizes certain habits. She makes space, not because you demanded it, but because it makes sense. Marriage psychologically is not about losing freedom. It's about selective adaptation. And women who don't see a future don't adapt. They keep their life rigid, their routines untouched, their priorities immovable. Because flexibility signals investment. You'll notice that when she wants you long-term, she starts thinking in terms of coordination. How does this fit us? How do we make this work? Not in dramatic gestures, not in grand sacrifices, but in quiet consistency. Love without adaptation is an illusion. Because if two lives never bend, they never merge. And at this point, something important should be clicking. These signs don't feel chaotic. They don't feel confusing. They don't create anxiety. They create clarity. Which brings us to the final layers: priority, future language, and reputation protection at the deepest level. And that's where the real twist happens. Before we continue, pause for a moment. Which one of these signs made you uncomfortable? Not because it was harsh, but because it was accurate. Comment below. If this is helping you see patterns you ignored before, like the video and share it with someone who needs to hear this. If you followed closely so far, you should feel a shift happening, not excitement, not anxiety, clarity. Because when a woman truly wants to marry you, her behavior stops being ambiguous. There's no emotional fog, no endless decoding, no guessing games. The final signs are the most revealing and also the hardest for men to accept. Let's finish this. She makes you a priority, chosen, not convenient. There is a difference between being available and being chosen. A woman can enjoy your company when it fits her schedule and still not prioritize you. When a woman truly wants a future with you, you don't live in the gaps of her life. She doesn't get back to you when she's free. She creates space because you matter. You'll see it in how plans are made. Less last minute, less rescheduling, less uncertainty. She protects time with you the same way she protects time for what matters most. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're always waiting, you're not a priority. Because people don't delay what they value. One happens when she has nothing better to do. The other happens because she wants you there. And men who are truly chosen never have to compete with chaos. Now let's move to a sign that exposes intention through language. 9. She talks about the future with you in it. Language never lies. Watch her words, not the emotional ones, the structural ones. When a woman wants to marry you, her language shifts unconsciously from I to we, from my plans to our direction. She doesn't avoid the future. She includes you in it. Our place. We should do this. And this isn't fantasy talk. It's logistical. Plans, timelines, possibilities that assume your presence. Because people don't imagine futures they don't emotionally commit to. And if the future feels like forbidden territory in conversation, that's not caution, that's avoidance. Let me say this clearly. If she avoids the future, she's avoiding you. Which brings us to the final, most profound signal of all. 10. She protects your reputation. Your name becomes sacred. This is the deepest layer of commitment. When a woman truly wants to marry you, your name stops being casual. It becomes protected. She doesn't weaponize your weaknesses. She doesn't expose your insecurities. She doesn't use your past against you, even in conflict, especially in conflict, because on a psychological level, she has already linked your reputation to her own. Your dignity becomes her investment. She guards your image the way someone guards something they plan to keep. And this is the line most men cross without realizing it. A woman who loves you might argue with you. A woman who wants to marry you will never destroy you to win. Because she already sees your last name as hers. That's not romance. That's alignment at the identity level. Here's the truth that changes everything. Every man gets loved. Only a few get chosen for forever. Love does not mean permanence. Excitement does not mean commitment. And feelings alone don't predict outcomes. Patterns do. Women don't marry potential alone. They marry clarity, direction, consistency. They marry men who make the future feel stable, not just exciting. And once you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop chasing commitment. You stop negotiating attraction. You stop trying to convince someone to choose you. Instead, you observe. You build a life that makes choice obvious, because the goal was never to be picked. The goal was to become the man worth building with. If this video made you rethink past relationships, good. That awareness is the beginning of leverage. Pay attention to behavior, not promises. Watch patterns, not emotions. And remember, comfort keeps you around. Conviction brings you home. If this opened your eyes, like and subscribe. Comment below which sign hit you the hardest, and share this with the man who's confusing comfort with commitment, because clarity changes everything.